Look, let's be honest. Most of the time, we don't think about coins. They're just annoying metal lumps in our pockets, jingling around until we use them to buy a suspiciously cheap hot dog, or feed a parking meter that will probably expire 2 minutes early anyway. But sometimes, just sometimes, these little pieces of metal are more than just loose change. They are tiny, shiny history books. They tell stories of empires rising and falling, of wars won and lost, and of how a tiny fishing village transformed into a global powerhouse. And when it comes to telling an absolutely wild story, few coins do it better than the silver coins of Hong Kong. It's a numismatic roller coaster, and you're buckled in. Why Hong Kong, you ask? Because its history is a spectacular mess of colonialism, global trade, and identity crises, all stamped onto metal. These aren't just coins, they're artifacts from a place that has spent 150 years figuring out what it is. For collectors, Hong Kong silver coins are the holy grail. They represent the intersection of East and West, a clash of cultures you can literally hold in your hand. It's like finding a souvenir from a historical drama, except this one is real, and probably spent a few decades in someone's sweaty palm. So, if you thought coin collecting was just for your weird uncle, prepare to have your mind, and maybe your wallet, changed. These coins are a tangible link to the past. Think about it. A single silver coin could have been used by a British governor to buy tea, a Chinese merchant to pay for silk, or a soldier to buy a drink before heading off to war. Each scratch and worn-down detail is a testament to its journey through time. It's a silent witness to history, and that's far more interesting than the sad, crumpled dollar bill currently residing in your jeans. The story of Hong Kong's silver coinage is a story about power, money, and survival, which coincidentally are the three main ingredients of any good episode of reality television. So, get ready for a deep dive into a world you probably never knew existed. We're going to explore how a bunch of British guys in fancy hats decided to create a whole new currency, how that currency survived wars and political upheaval, and why these little silver discs are now sought after by people all over the world. It's a story with more twists and turns than a dragon-themed water slide, and by the end, you might just find yourself checking your own pocket change a little more closely, hoping to find a piece of history instead of just another quarter. So, picture this. It's the 1840s. The British Empire, in its infinite wisdom, has just acquired a barren rock called Hong Kong. They show up, plant a flag, and immediately face a problem. The locals are using a chaotic mix of currencies. You had Chinese cash coins, with holes in them, Spanish silver dollars, Indian rupees, and probably a few IOUs written on napkins. It was a monetary free-for-all, like a flea market where no one agrees on what money is. For the British, who love order and queuing, this was an absolute nightmare. They needed a system, a proper one, with their own face on it naturally. Their first brilliant idea was to just use British coins. Everyone loves the Queen, right? They probably thought. Wrong. The locals were not impressed. They were used to trading with silver, specifically the big, chunky Spanish and Mexican silver dollars that were trusted across Asia. The British pound was confusing and, frankly, not as shiny. The plan was a total flop. The British learned a valuable lesson. You can't just force your money on people, especially when their current money is a massive silver coin called a piece of 8 that makes you feel like a pirate. That's just objectively cooler. After years of fumbling, in 1863, they finally had a breakthrough. Sir Hercules Robinson, the governor at the time, and yes, his real name was Hercules, which is amazing, decided that if you can't beat them, join them, but in a very British way. He proposed creating a Hong Kong-specific dollar based on the silver standard everyone already liked, but with a British twist. This led to the establishment of the Hong Kong Mint in 1866. They started churning out beautiful silver dollars featuring Queen Victoria looking sternly off to the side, as if disappointed by the humidity. Finally, Hong Kong had its own official money. The first coins included a silver dollar, a half dollar, a 20-cent piece, a 10-cent piece, and a 5-cent piece. They were all made of silver, shiny, and, most importantly, had a fixed value that people could understand. It was the beginning of a new era. The British had successfully monetized their new colony, creating a system that would tie Hong Kong's economy to the global silver market. It was a bold move that laid the groundwork for Hong Kong's future as a financial hub, all starting because they couldn't stand the mess of everyone else's money. When the British decided to make Hong Kong's coins, they didn't just make one, they went all out, creating a whole family of silver coins for every possible transaction. It was like they were a boy band, and each coin was a different member with its own personality. You had the big, impressive front man, the $1 coin. Minted from 1866 to 1868, this was the star of the show. It was a substantial piece of silver, designed to compete directly with those popular Spanish and Mexican dollars. It was big, it was heavy, and it screamed, "I am serious money." Holding one felt like you could buy a small island, or at least a very fancy hat. Then you had the supporting members. The $half, or 50-cent piece, was the reliable, older brother. It was still hefty and made of high-quality silver, perfect for larger purchases but not quite as ostentatious as the full dollar. Below that were the 20-cent, 10-cent, and 5-cent pieces. These were the workhorses of the currency system, the coins of the people. They were used for everything from buying groceries at the market to paying for a ride on a rickshaw. They were smaller, sure, but they were essential for daily life. Without them, the whole system would grind to a halt. Let's talk about the tiniest one, because it's frankly adorable. The first Hong Kong 5-cent coin was a small silver disc, just 15 millimeters in diameter. It was so small, you could probably lose it in your pocket fluff. But this tiny coin was a big deal. Made of 80% silver, it was real money, not just some cheap token. It meant that even the smallest transactions were backed by precious metal. This built immense trust in the new currency. People knew that even their smallest change had intrinsic value, which was a huge step up from the random assortment of coins they were using before. It was a tiny ambassador for British financial stability. Over the years, the composition of these coins changed, as the price of silver fluctuated wildly on the world market. Making coins out of it became a massive headache. A coin's silver content could suddenly become worth more than its face value, leading people to melt them down. So, gradually, the silver content was reduced, and eventually, cheaper metals like copper, nickel, and brass were introduced for the smaller denominations. The big silver dollar disappeared for a while, replaced by banknotes, but the smaller silver coins continued to be a part of Hong Kong life for decades, jingling in pockets and purses as the city grew around them. If you look at Hong Kong's silver coins from the British era, you're basically looking at a royal family photo album, but in metal. For nearly 150 years, the reigning British monarch was the star of every coin. It was a not-so-subtle reminder of who was in charge. The series began with Queen Victoria, whose portrait graced the very first Hong Kong coins in the 1860s. Her image on the coins changed as she aged, starting as a young queen and later appearing as the more, let's say, matronly Empress of India. It was a clever piece of propaganda, projecting an image of stability and imperial power across the entire British Empire. After Victoria, the royal parade continued. King Edward VII had a brief but memorable appearance on Hong Kong's coinage from 1902 to 1905. His coins are quite rare today because of his short reign, making them a prize for collectors. He was followed by King George V, whose portrait was on the coins for a solid 25 years. These coins saw Hong Kong through World War I and the Roaring '20s. Then came the drama of 1936, the year of the Three Kings. King George V died. Edward VIII took the throne, and then promptly abdicated for love. Coins with Edward VIII's portrait were designed but never issued in Hong Kong, making them phantom pieces that collectors dream about. Next in line was King George VI, who had the unfortunate timing of reigning during World War II. His face is on the coins that were in circulation right before and right after the Japanese occupation, a period of immense turmoil. Finally, we get to the most recognizable royal face of the 20th century, Queen Elizabeth II. Her portrait first appeared on Hong Kong coins in 1955. Just like with Queen Victoria, her image was updated over time to reflect her age. There's the youthful portrait from the 50s and 60s, and the more mature, regal portrait from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. For generations of Hong Kong people, her face was literally the face of money. The final batch of coins featuring Queen Elizabeth II was minted in 1992. After that, as Hong Kong prepared for its return to China in 1997, a new design was needed. The era of the Queen on Hong Kong's money was over. This long succession of royal portraits makes collecting these coins a fascinating journey through British history. Each monarch's reign brought new designs, new historical contexts, and a new face to the currency. It's a testament to how deeply intertwined Hong Kong's identity was with the British crown for over a century. Just when Hong Kong's currency system seemed stable, World War II came along and threw a giant wrench in the works. In December 1941, the Japanese Empire invaded and captured Hong Kong. The occupation, which lasted for 3 years and 8 months, was a brutal and terrifying period. And as you can imagine, it completely upended the economy. The British Hong Kong dollar was declared illegal. In its place, the Japanese introduced a new currency, the Japanese military yen. This was, to put it mildly, not a popular change. The military yen was essentially worthless paper. It wasn't backed by gold, silver, or anything of value. It was fiat currency in the worst sense of the term. Its value was based solely on the decree of an occupying army. People were forced to exchange their Hong Kong dollars for this new scrip at a fixed rate, effectively wiping out their savings. The Japanese printed more and more of it, causing hyperinflation. Prices for basic goods like rice and cooking oil skyrocketed. Folks resorted to a barter system, trading goods and services directly because the official money was just garbage. So, what happened to all the silver coins? People hoarded them. Knowing the Japanese military currency was junk, anyone with silver Hong Kong coins hid them away. They were buried in gardens, hidden under floorboards, and stashed in secret compartments. Silver was real wealth, a tangible asset that would hold its value no matter what the occupying forces said. These hidden caches of coins became a lifeline for many families, a secret emergency fund to be used only in the most desperate of circumstances. It was a silent act of defiance against the occupation, holding on to the symbols of the old order. After Japan's surrender in 1945, the British returned, and the Hong Kong dollar was reinstated. The Japanese military yen was declared void, becoming instantly valueless. Imagine holding a suitcase full of cash that suddenly turns into paper you can't even use for kindling. It was a harsh but necessary step to restore economic stability. The pre-war coins, including the silver ones, slowly came out of hiding and re-entered circulation. However, the experience left a deep scar. It taught a powerful lesson about the difference between real, asset-backed money and government-mandated paper, a lesson that would shape Hong Kong's financial mindset for generations. As 1997 approached, Hong Kong was on the verge of a monumental change, the handover from British to Chinese sovereignty. This wasn't just a political shift, it was a complete identity overhaul. And, a huge part of that meant redesigning the money. For 150 years, the Queen's face had been on every coin, a constant symbol of British rule. That obviously had to go. The question was, what would replace it? What symbol could represent a new Hong Kong? A city that was part of China, but had its own unique identity? The answer was a flower. The chosen symbol was the Bauhinia blacana, a beautiful 5-petal orchid tree flower that was first discovered in Hong Kong. It was the perfect choice. It was politically neutral, unique to Hong Kong, and symbolized the city's vibrant, blooming character. Starting in 1993, a new set of coins was introduced, featuring the Bauhinia flower on the front, the obverse. The Queen was gone, replaced by a piece of local nature. It was a subtle but powerful statement. Hong Kong was no longer defined by a foreign monarch, but by something that was entirely its own. The new coins kept the same denominations as before, but their look was completely different. The reverse side of the coins featured the denomination in English and Chinese, with the year of issue. The design was clean, modern, and elegant. It reflected the image of the new Hong Kong, forward-looking, efficient, and sophisticated. There was no more silver in these coins, of course. The era of precious metals in everyday currency was long over. Instead, they were made of metals like copper, nickel, and brass, designed for durability and cost-effectiveness in a bustling modern economy. The transition was handled smoothly. The Queen's head coins were gradually phased out as the new Bauhinia coins were introduced into circulation. For a few years, you could find both types of coins in your change, a pocket-sized representation of a city in transition. Today, the Bauhinia coins are the standard. They are a daily reminder of Hong Kong's unique status under the one country, two systems principle. Every time someone uses a coin to buy a subway ticket or a newspaper, they are interacting with a symbol of Hong Kong's distinct identity in the post-colonial world. It's a flower that packs a lot of political and historical punch. Now here's a twist that should get American collectors excited. One of the most important silver coins in Hong Kong's history wasn't actually a Hong Kong coin at all. It was called the British trade dollar, and a huge number of them were minted right in the USA. Let me explain. After the Hong Kong Mint closed in 1868 because it was losing money. Yes, a mint that makes money was losing money. The irony is delicious. The British still needed a big silver coin to compete in Asian markets. The solution was the British trade dollar, first issued in 1895. This coin was a commercial powerhouse. It was a beautiful coin, featuring a standing figure of Britannia holding a trident and shield, looking very majestic. It was made of 90% silver and had the same weight and purity as the other popular trade dollars of the day. It was designed to be used not just in Hong Kong, but across all of Britain's commercial interests in the Far East. The inscription even included the phrase $1 in Chinese and Malay. This coin was a tool of economic empire building, a silver bullet for British trade. So where does America come in? The British Empire was huge, but its mints were busy. To produce the millions of trade dollars needed for Asia, the Royal Mint in London outsourced some of the work, and they turned to their American cousins. From 1925 to 1930, the San Francisco Mint was commissioned to strike British trade dollars. These coins look identical to the ones made in London or Bombay, with one tiny difference: a small S mint mark on the ground beneath Britannia's feet. Finding one of these is a fantastic crossover collectible for an American numismatist. This little S connects the history of the American West with the bustling ports of the Far East. It means that a coin minted in California, a place famous for its own silver rushes, could have ended up in the hands of a merchant in Hong Kong, Shanghai, or Singapore. It's a physical link between American industrial might and British colonial trade. For an American collector, owning a San Francisco minted British trade dollar is like owning a piece of shared global history. It's a reminder that even a century ago, the world's economies were more interconnected than we often think. It's a Hong Kong story with a surprising American accent. Alright, let's arm you with some trivia that will make you the most interesting person at any social gathering, assuming the other guests are really into 19th century colonial monetary policy. First up, the ghost of Queen Victoria. Some of the early Hong Kong silver coins, like the 1866 half-dollar, have a fascinating flaw. If you look very closely at the Queen's portrait, you can sometimes see the faint outline of the Chinese characters from the other side of the coin, showing through. This is due to a phenomenon called ghosting, where the pressure from striking the coin was so immense that a faint impression of one side appears on the other. It's not a ghost, but it's a cool story. Here's another one. The mysterious H mint mark. Some Hong Kong coins, specifically the 1-cent coin from 1863 to 1866, have a tiny letter H on them. For years, collectors debated what it meant. Was it for the Heaton Mint in Birmingham, England, which produced many coins for the British Empire? The answer is yes. It's not the most thrilling mystery, I'll grant you, but it's a neat detail. The Heaton Mint was a private company that acted as a sort of backup for the Royal Mint, and its tiny H is a stamp of quality known to collectors worldwide. Finding one is a fun little treasure hunt. Did you know that some Hong Kong coins were minted with holes in them? While the silver coins were solid, the 1 mil coin from 1863, the lowest denomination ever, had a hole in the center. This was done to mimic the Chinese cash coins that local people were familiar with. It was a clever bit of cultural adaptation. A mil was worth 1/10 of a cent, so it was practically worthless, even then. Today, these hold coins are a fascinating example of the British trying to blend their own currency design with local traditions, even if it was for a coin nobody really wanted. Finally, let's talk about the most famous error coin in Hong Kong numismatics, the 1980 Hong Kong $1 mule coin. A mule coin is a mistake where the obverse, front, of one coin is paired with the reverse, back, of a different coin. In this case, the standard Bauhinia-style dollar reverse was accidentally paired with the obverse of a Queen Elizabeth II coin from the Bahamas. How this happened is anyone's guess, but it resulted in a very strange and very rare coin. Only a handful are known to exist, and they are worth a fortune. It's the ultimate oops moment in the history of the mint. So, after all this history, the queens, the wars, the flowers, the American connection, why should we still care about a bunch of old silver coins from Hong Kong? We live in a world of credit cards, mobile payments, and cryptocurrencies. Physical money feels like a relic, a holdover from a bygone era. But that's exactly why these coins matter. They are not just money, they are tangible pieces of a story that is still unfolding. They are small, metal archives of a city's soul, preserving moments of triumph, tragedy, and transformation in silver, copper, and nickel. For the people of Hong Kong, these coins are a powerful symbol of their unique heritage. The Queen's Head coins represent the colonial past, a period that shaped the city's laws, language, and culture. The Bauhinia coins represent the present, a symbol of Hong Kong's autonomy and distinct identity within China. Holding a coin from each era is like holding a physical dialogue about the city's past and its future. In a place where questions of identity and autonomy are more relevant than ever, these small objects carry an immense weight of meaning. They are a reminder of where Hong Kong has been, and a touchstone for where it might be going. For collectors around the world, especially in America, these coins are more than just an investment. They are a gateway to understanding a crucial piece of global history. The story of Hong Kong's currency is a microcosm of larger themes: the rise and fall of empires, the dynamics of global trade, the clash of cultures, and the enduring power of economic resilience. Collecting these coins is an active way of engaging with that history. It's a hobby that connects you to a story far bigger than yourself, a story that links London, San Francisco, and a tiny island in the South China Sea. Ultimately, these coins matter because they are storytellers. They don't speak with words, but with images, symbols, and the silent wear of 100 years of commerce. They remind us that money is never just money. It's a reflection of our values, our power structures, and our collective memory. So the next time you see an old coin, don't just see it as currency. See it as a key, a small metal disc that can unlock a vast and fascinating history. And the history of Hong Kong silver coins is one of the most compelling stories you'll ever find jingling in your pocket.